JobStream family, Jess here with my co-founder and business partner and co-host Adonis McReynolds. And today we have a fun and exciting topic for job seekers, which is what to do when you actually land the interview. So of course, everyone wants to get interviews. That's the goal, that's the holy grail, and obviously the offer. But once you land the interview, a lot of times it's really nerve-wracking, it's really stressful. People do not know how to act, or they get really flustered. So Adonis is such an expert on this. He helps our clients so much, like it's so valuable. So I'm super excited for him to start talking about all the tips on how to nail that interview once you get it.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it as well. Just like every other topic we talk about, right? There's so much to say and so much to be excited about as it pertains to the job search today. But as we all know, most of the content that we produce is about getting to the point where you are getting an interview. Today, we want to really dive into what to do when you do get it. So first thing that you got to do before anything else is you have to start preparing your mindset. And we talk about how mindset is really at the starting point of everything that we do. The mindset to an interview is that this is just another opportunity to put ourselves on display and to get to build a relationship. A relationship-focused interview approach is the most important approach, because if you're approaching it from the standpoint of I'm just trying to make a check, I'm just trying to get to just like an outcome-driven interview approach where it's just like all I'm thinking about is like what I'm going to get out of it. People do smell that, people do sense that. You get on the call and immediately like your mindset is like, let me just, be completely self-serving on this thing, right? And so the proper mindset for an interview is to have the other person's needs in mind. The person is giving you an interview because they have a need and you can help them with something, right? So a other person first interview approach is the best way to go. It's what lands you the job. It's what builds trust. It's what builds rapport. We want to be consistent with this from start to finish, right? We started off this approach with like, hey, this is relationship building. And so that's why we do what we do at JobStream, and we have a whole process that's based around others first mentality. So why wouldn't we interview that way, right? So we have to keep that mindset. The second thing is that when you're interviewing, you want to be you. Like the mindset has to be, I'm going to be me regardless of where I work, right? Now, I'm not saying that you just, you can do whatever you want. There's a difference between just being able to do whatever you want and being yourself. Being yourself is you got to be authentic. You have to stay true to your principles. We talked about identity. Identity is a huge part of our process. You have to stick to your guns. You have to believe what you believe and hold true to your convictions, right? Just because you work somewhere else doesn't mean that you get to become you have to become a different person, right? So be who you are, be comfortable, be relaxed when you're interviewing. It's all about just taking it easy. Don't overthink it. Don't over prepare to the point where you're just like, not even yourself anymore. Because I do think that there comes a point where you're so afraid of doing poorly on an interview where your mindset shifts and it's no longer about just being relaxed, comfortable, and being authentic. It's about trying to please someone else, right? So don't get me wrong, like it's important to, try to build rapport and try to please others in a sense, but more importantly is pleasing others by bringing your authentic self to the table. Because if they're not pleased with who you are authentically in the beginning, then what that's going to lead to ultimately is they're not going to be pleased with you after they hire you, and you're not going to be pleased because you were not honest with them in the beginning, right? So, Jess, do you have any thoughts on that?
Honestly, I think you're spot on. Like, I don't have much to say extra because, like, you said it perfectly. So I really agree, and I really hope people will follow that advice.
Well, great. Yeah, I mean, that's in any interview situation, like, the biggest thing is if you're not true to yourself, then in the after interview process, once you start working, the feeling between both parties is there's going to be some type of level of disappointment. It's just not going to go well. So I can't emphasize this enough. Like, don't go into an interview trying to be somebody that you're not. Be who you are. But at the same time, also, look for ways that you can build rapport with an individual. And that leads me to my next tip for interviewing and or preparing the mindset. The mindset is the third aspect of the mindset that I would promote is you want to have a mindset of professionalism, right? You want to have a mindset of like, I have a business life, a personal life, whatever other type of life, but your business is your business, your professionalism is your professionalism. Like, you want to stand out, you want to do things in the proper and professional way. And so the mindset is I'm going to do as I say that I'm going to do. I'm going to, speak to my experience. I'm going to operate this interview as somebody who takes myself seriously. And so that involves like going above and beyond to show that you're a professional, that you're somebody who does what they say that they're going to do. That means showing up on time, dressing up professionally, making sure, like, if you're doing a video interview, that, like, your whole camera arrangement isn't shoddy, or that you're looking down at the ground when you're talking to them. Like, these are like little things, right, that professionals just don't do. So you have to understand what a professional is and does in order to become one, right, and to handle yourself like one. And so I was blessed. I say it all the time. Growing up in my home, I was taught business acumen. So business acumen, if you don't have it, it's important to acquire. You can acquire it just by reading, right? You can read things online. You can read about, like, what does a professional do to prepare for an interview, and what you're going to get is a lot of tips on business acumen. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people today who weren't raised with that, right? So it's something that they have to learn. So that's a whole separate video in and of itself, business acumen, but it's a part of the mindset that one has to have before they actually interview. So yeah, like, don't show up in your, like, if it's an in-person interview, don't show up wearing, your booty shorts from the club and your, Converse. Or if, like, you're a dude, don't show up in your wife beater and your, your basketball shorts. Like, have some respect for the process and dress in such a way where you want people to see, like, this is how I would show up every single day for you, right? And that's just part of business acumen. It's something that you would have to acquire and learn if you don't have it yet. Moving on to the next phase beyond mindset is the preparation. And when we talk about preparation, at JobStream AI, what we believe in is you got to know as much as you possibly can about your interviewer and the company, and why you're a good fit. I'll let Jess speak a little bit first to, like, what she does when she's preparing, because, like, even as a business owner, we have interviews. We do have interviews with people that would potentially make our clients, right? And so there's a preparation that goes into that. What goes into your prep, for example, Jess?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been a job seeker, and I have worked a few actual jobs too. So when I've done that, I always research the company. So I always go on their website and, just read the About Me pages, the About Us pages. I try to connect with people on LinkedIn, and I write notes. And sometimes I'll bring up those notes in the interview, because there's nothing wrong. Like, you're not a machine. No one thinks you are a machine. So there's nothing wrong with actually having some notes and telling the person in the interview, oh, actually, I have a note about this. Do you mind if I just refer to my notes? Or, oh, I wrote this down. Let me just check. Because it shows that you're prepared, that you took time to do research before, that you're organized, that you have a backup plan. So if your memory does fail or something, you have a backup plan. Like, oh, I can't remember every single detail about the company, but hey, I wrote it down. So I don't think there's anything wrong with going in prepared and having those notes. Of course, you don't want to be, like, reading off the paper in some monotone way, but just, like, once in a while saying, oh, actually, let me just refer to my notes real quick, and oh yeah, this, and you say the succinct answer. I personally think that's really impressive. And if someone did that to me, I've also hired a lot of people in my business, and if people do that to me in the interview, I'm fine with it. I love it. I'm like, wow, this person was so organized, so prepared. So you don't feel like you have to memorize it like a whole exam, but you can also write some notes down, and you want to make sure that you have relevant things about the company that they might ask you. And now we have AI, so you can go into ChatGPT and say, like, what are the common interview questions? Help me find some answers, and then make it relevant to the information about the job posting itself and about the company.
Very good stuff. Yeah. I mean, so important to be prepared, to have notes, to kind of have a basic understanding of what you want to be communicating, right? In situations where you're asked questions, or, you have the opportunity to speak to what a company is accomplishing or what they're doing out there. There's many ways to investigate, what a person is doing, but there's specific technologies that actually give you more detailed data regarding what a firm might be up to. Some of the ones that we recommend out there would be like Seamless.io, Apollo, Crunchbase. I mean, even just, of course, using LinkedIn. LinkedIn can give you a lot of great insights, but as you're doing your research, it's going to give you a lot more information than, like, if you were just to only use LinkedIn or only to just use Google. there are some definite data sources that you will want to pull from as you're investigating and trying to figure out how am I going to approach this interview that you can leverage. Also, don't downplay the impact of social media. Most of these people you're interviewing with probably have a social life. And what's better for rapport building than understanding like where someone was the previous night, what they've been doing that week. I mean, I don't really find it all that creepy to stalk somebody on Facebook and be like, hey, I'm having an interview with this guy. Like, he just mentioned something about a party that he was at, or like, you know, he was walking his dog somewhere. Like, I have dogs too. I like to party too. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Right. So that these are things that you can bring up. Like, I mean, I'm a sports fan. I found out a guy, you know, that I'm interviewing with or having a conversation with is from Wisconsin. Packer fan, Bucks fan, right? Like, and if not, I have many other conversations I can dive into because I'm well rounded, right? Where I can just be like, oh, so you're not into that? What do you like to do? Tell me a little bit about yourself. And so you can kind of gather a little bit of control and actually, you know, build rapport in that way. So don't take the human element out of things. Obviously, you just want to be, you know, light about all these different conversations, and you know, make sure that you're you know, just talking about things that they care about. If there's somebody who posts a lot about the beach or posts a lot of pictures of themselves at the beach, there's plenty of conversations that could be started around, you know, beach culture or things that are going on in terms of like surfing or whatever else that they're into, right? The one thing we do advise against, and this is just kind of like a de facto rule that I've always been taught, and I felt like this is pretty sound advice, for the sake of rapport building and the sake of establishing a genuine connection and not ruining that potential chance at, you know, working for the company. It's probably for the best that you leave politics and religion out of your interview, even if the other person is posting a lot about it, and seems to have some sort of passion for one of those two topics. Those tend to be more divisive topics that in an interview setting or in a professional setting don't get addressed until you actually know a person very well and you see that there's a real good opportunity / appropriate nature of bringing those things up, right? So just as a word to the wise out there who are kind of taking what I'm saying and running with it, like, leave out the religious aspect, leave out the political aspect. It's probably for the best, at least for now. If you get to know each other very well and start to realize like, oh, like we have a lot in common in these areas, or maybe there's something, room for discussion on some of these topics at a later time after the relationship has been developed and you see the green light for that, great.
After you get the job.
After you get the job, right? But I mean, there are some, I have to speak to this. There are some jobs that are religious and political in nature. So obviously, you know, if you're going for one of those jobs, you're going to have to divulge where you stand on those issues. But generally speaking, in the professional world, those aren't going to be green lights. Those are going to be like, hey, these are side topics that we are into on the side, but this isn't the nature of our work, so it has no room in the professional interview environment. So be smart about it. Be wise about when to broach those topics, even after you get hired. But you know, it's really a matter of personal judgment and wisdom. And then there's other things that you don't bring up on interviews as well. I think I would be remiss in saying that, you know, you obviously don't talk personal, like super personal things that you find out about a person online that would just be creepy to bring up. Be wise about what you bring up, right? Like, some people post things on their social media that just don't need to be mentioned, right? So be smart about what you bring up, be wise. And I know that that's a very nuanced piece of advice, and what is wisdom, and we're not going to go into all of that. That's just kind of like use common, quote unquote, common sense, which is kind of funny because I just don't really believe in that. But I also believe that, you know, there is, in a sense, like, people can give a general idea of what's appropriate and what's not. Anyway, moving on. So the next part of the interview process that we want to discuss, and this is the final thing that I'm going to bring up on this video because I want it to drag on forever, is make sure that once you have done the proper research and you know, you've really drilled in on all of the questions that you have and all the ways that you would respond to them, preparing and like rehearsing like your answers and just making sure like you know what you would answer in any given situation. Not overly preparing, of course, but just kind of like naturally preparing. Also think about like how you're going to proceed after that whole round of questioning ends, right? You have to kind of leave the interview with the employer having a good taste in their mouth. And one of the best ways to do that is to show initiative. Like if you're really interested in the opportunity, like very, very important to say like, hey, I'm very interested in this. Make it very clear. Like when would we be able to start? What does the timeline look like for you? And ask questions that show that you care, right? Like in the like ending with a bang would be like, hey, in the first 60 to 90 days, what would you advise for me to be the greatest that I can possibly be in this role? Like what would be required of me to be able to make that happen? Like showing that you really care about the job and care about like doing well in it, it sits well with the employer. And those types of questions don't go unnoticed. So anything to say about that, Jess?
Yeah, I fully agree. Like you want to have a clear path forward of like how long you should expect an answer if they have more rounds, and then we do also want to add like a follow up to that, which is just like an email to say thank you so much for taking the time. It was a pleasure to meet you. If you can drop a little something personal in there, that's great. Like, oh, it's so fun talking about your dogs, like something like that. So just like a closing out. So that was like what to do during the interview and then what to do like right afterwards, which is, make sure you're in touch with them, make sure you send a thank you, that they took the time, because it will set you apart. Not a lot of people actually do that. So.
Right. Yeah. No, it's totally true. Twice a week minimum, I think is a good amount. You don't have to be pushy, but you can send like marketing collateral or content. We kind of discussed this a little bit in our other videos where you're not just basically reaching out to the same person over and over again, talking about, well, are you ready to hire? Are you ready to hire? Like that's annoying. It's more like the digital street beggar approach versus like, hey, look what I found, that was written online today. Thought you might find this interesting. It's like a touch point and being like, looking forward to hearing from you soon. Or, like saying, hey, I found this guy on LinkedIn that could be a good fit for your business, by the way. Oh, and, looking forward to hearing from you soon regarding our interview. So like little touch points like that. You don't want to be the guy who's like, or gal who's just reaching out constantly talking about like, are you guys ready to hire all the time, right? Because again, you're just kind of pushing them and pushing them away, more or less. Other pieces of advice that I have is like, just again, don't over prepare. There is a balance that needs to be had in terms of like, being ready for the interview and like being over ready, right? Like if you're over ready and the mindset is like, I'm just straining myself, just trying to get somebody to appreciate what I bring to the table. Again, it's just not, it doesn't fit within the mindset that we're supposed to have. Like the mindset that we want to have is that this is just one of many opportunities that we could have. Don't be so attached to the role that you're just like freaking out and just like over preparing. So have a mindset with you that says, hey, this is one of many opportunities. We're working really hard to ensure that we open up more, and and they will come. These things will come in time, but you have to do things the right way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And of course, we are here to help you with all of that. So, we can help you get the interviews. We can help you prepare for the interviews. We can help you, come up with the collateral you should be sending after. So we're here for you from start to finish. So visit us at jobstreamai.com or find us on LinkedIn. Send us an email, jobs@jobstreamai.com. And we're always happy to help.